Welcome to the deep dive. You're tuning in because, well, you want to understand the world better, right? And that really starts with the tools we use every single day.
That's exactly like search engines. They're so
Yeah,
fundamental.
totally fundamental.
Yeah.
But how often do we actually stop and think about why we're using the one we are?
Not often enough, probably. And that's what we're getting into today. You shared this really great piece by Kenton Patterson over on Future Tech Wise blog.
Yeah, it gives a really clear-eyed look at two of the big ones, DuckDuckGo and Google.
And our goal here is to kind of unpack their philosophies, how they work, so you, the listener, can make a choice that actually feels right for you.
Exactly. And Patterson really nails this central tension, doesn't he? It's that balance or maybe that conflict between wanting privacy online and wanting, super personalized results.
That's the core issue. So where should we start? DuckDuckGo.
Yeah, let's do DuckDuckGo first. They've really built their whole identity around this idea of privacy without compromise.
They really have. And their main thing, according to Patterson, is just not collecting your personal data, period.
So no tracking your searches.
Nope. No storing your IP address either. That's like your computer's mailing address online,
Okay.
or really any other personal identifiers. So you don't leave behind this trail of digital breadcrumbs, no cookies piling up related to your searches there.
Which feels pretty different from the standard online experience these days, doesn't it?
It really does. And it's not just about them not saving stuff. Patterson highlights their built-in tracker blocking, too.
Ah, right. I saw that. It stops trackers from who? Like the big guys.
Yeah, exactly. Stops tracking scripts from Google, from Meta,
Right.
Facebook, even TikTok.
Wow. So it's like having a little bodyguard for your browsing data.
Kinda, yeah. And the benefit, Patterson points out, isn't just stopping those companies from knowing every click. It also cuts down on what he calls behavioral profiling.
Meaning they can't build up that picture of you based on where you go online.
Precisely. It's like stopping that invisible store clerk who watches everything you look at online and then tries to sell you stuff based on it. DuckDuckGo tries to prevent that.
Okay, and then there's this other thing Patterson mentioned, no search leakage. What's that about?
Right. So basically, when you click a link on DuckDuckGo,
Yeah.
the website you go to doesn't get told what you searched for to get there. They don't see your search terms passed along from DuckDuckGo.
Ah, okay. So the site knows I came from DuckDuckGo, but not why.
Exactly. It adds another layer of anonymity. They can't immediately start tailoring ads or content based on that specific search query that brought you there.
And that leads to another point Patterson makes the results themselves. Because they're not personalized. Everyone sees pretty much the same thing for the same search.
Generally, yes. The idea is that this helps you avoid those filter bubbles.
Where you only see stuff that confirms what you already think.
Right. You're potentially exposed to a wider range of perspectives because the results aren't being curated just for you based on your past behavior. It's more sort of organic.
Which is a conscious choice someone might make, wanting that broader view.
Absolutely. If you value seeing different viewpoints, maybe challenging your own, that lack of personalization is actually a feature, not a bug.
And Patterson also touches on it being mostly open source and free. How does that fit in?
Well, the open source part connects to transparency, right?
Because people can look at the code.
Yeah, anyone can inspect it, see how it works, check that it's actually doing what they say regarding privacy. It builds trust and lets the community kind of keep them honest.
Okay, that makes sense. So DuckDuckGo. Privacy focused, blocks trackers, unpersonalized results, transparent. Got it.
That's the gist of it.
All right, so let's flip the coin. Google, Patterson calls it a digital ecosystem, which feels pretty accurate.
Definitely accurate. It's way more than just search, isn't it? Gmail, Maps, YouTube, Drive.
Yeah.
It's all woven together.
And that weaving involves our data.
Uh-huh. That's the trade-off, as Patterson lays it out. Google's whole approach is personalization, tailoring the experience to you.
Based on what exactly? Just search history.
Oh, much more. Search history, yeah. But also your location, what you do on YouTube, maybe even stuff from Gmail, your activity across all their services, preferences you set.
Wow, okay. That's a lot.
It is. And Patterson notes how comprehensive this is. It includes browsing habits, maybe voice commands to your phone, location data. It paints a very detailed picture.
And this picture is mainly used for ads.
That's the core business model, yes. Advertising. All that data allows for incredibly precise ad targeting. Patterson raises the point that this does bring up questions about, Digital profiling, maybe even surveillance, even if the goal is just showing relevant ads or useful results.
But you can't argue with the convenience sometimes. Patterson gives that example, right? Searching a restaurant.
Yeah, you search it, then you click for directions and maps, maybe you check reviews that pop up, watch a quick YouTube review someone posted. It's all seamless.
It is really smooth. You don't have to jump between different apps or services as much.
And for busy people, that integration, that lack of friction is a huge draw. It saves time, saves mental energy. It's undeniably efficient.
Plus, Google is constantly rolling out these advanced features. AI stuff.
Totally. Patterson mentions things like rich snippets those boxes with answers right at the top.
Or instant answers. Yeah. And Google Lens, searching with your camera.
And predictive search, where it's guessing what you want before you even finish typing.
Sometimes creepily accurately.
Well, that's the AI, right?
The-
Fed by just enormous amounts of data, allowing it to make those predictions and provide those quick, efficient answers. It's impressive tech.
But driven by that ad model, Patterson makes that crystal clear. The ads pay for all this convenience in tech.
Exactly. The more they know about your interests from all that data, the better they can target ads. That's the fundamental exchange, data for service, essentially.
Okay, so we've laid out the two sides pretty well, drawing on Patterson's analysis. Now, he gives this really useful bottom line section.
Yeah, this is where it gets practical for the listener. He basically says, okay, how should you choose?
Right. So, for DuckDuckGo, Patterson suggests it's a good fit if what? If privacy is your absolute top concern.
Yeah, if you're deeply concerned about online privacy. Also, if you just really want an experience without targeted ads and trackers following you everywhere.
Makes sense. What else?
If you actually prefer unpersonalized, sort of neutral search results, and maybe if you value open source tools, that transparency aspect we talked about.
Okay, so that's the DuckDuckGo profile. Then for Google.
Well, Patterson says Google might be better if you really appreciate those personalized, super relevant results it gives you.
If that convenience is key.
Right. And if you heavily rely on the whole integrated ecosystem, Gmail, Maps, Drive, Calendar, all working together.
Like if your digital life is kind of built around those tools already.
Exactly. Also, if you want those fast answers, the rich snippets, the AI features we mentioned, and fundamentally, if you're okay with trading some amount of privacy for all that convenience and performance.
So it really forces you to think about your priorities, doesn't it?
It really does. What matters more to you day to day? There's no single right answer here.
It's about fit. Which philosophy aligns with how you want to interact with the internet?
Precisely.
Now, Patterson also briefly looks ahead, thinking about the future of search, especially with AI becoming so central.
Yeah, it's a huge question. As AI gets even more powerful and integrated, where does search go? Will we see like a bigger push towards privacy-first models?
Or will the drive for even more hyper-personalization, maybe even predictive assistance, just take over completely?
It's kind of a crossroads, maybe. And Patterson's core message throughout the piece, really, is about empowering users, empowering you with knowledge.
So you can make that informed choice yourself.
Yeah. Understanding that DuckDuckGo and Google represent these sort of different ends of a spectrum right now.
Different philosophies about data and the user.
And the choices we make about these tools, they kind of reflect our broader values, don't they? What we want the internet and technology in general to be like.
So just to wrap it up for everyone listening, the key takeaway is this trade-off, right?
I think so. DuckDuckGo offers privacy, like a clean slate search, no tracking, but maybe less tailored results.
While Google uses your data, lots of it, to give you that super personalized, convenient, feature-rich experience integrated across all its services, but with clear privacy implications.
And again, neither is inherently better overall. It really depends on what you prioritize. Your mileage may vary, as they say.
Definitely. Okay, so that leaves us with a final thought, something for you to chew on. In this world that's just getting more and more AI-driven, where our digital footprints are deeper than ever, what fundamental values should guide us when we pick our digital tools? And maybe think about how your choice of search engine, this thing you might use dozens of times a day, how does that choice reflect your bigger vision for the internet and what happens with your personal data?
Yeah, that's a deep one. What does your search bar say about your values? Something to definitely think about.